Hello, everybody, and welcome to Nathan on Shuffle and to my latest episode here of New Music Weekly, the show where I give you guys the prog news for the week, introduce you guys to some cool new prog singles, and give you updates on what's happening on the channel here on Nathan on Shuffle. So, it's February 7th, 2025, and it's Dream Theater release day. That's really the big headline for me, at least with my musical taste. Dream Theater released their album Parasomnia today, and it's just an amazing album. I absolutely love it. I did a review of it this week that I'm very pleased to say did really well on the channel, and so please check that out if you haven't yet. I really put a lot of time and thought into that one, and it's just been a really monumental album to be able to have the pleasure to listen to. Mike Portnoy has returned to the band. They sound refreshed, have a new sense of energy. They're doing a somewhat conceptual album, and it just feels cohesive and really works for me. I really love the album. Of course, people have various opinions. Not everyone's as thrilled with it as I am, but I think it's a great return to form for them, and really excited to see where this leads in the future. So that's exciting. There's a lot of great releases for fans of heavier music. Of course, I'm not really big into like death metal, black metal, those kinds of styles, but I've heard about Seor and their album Amidst the Runes. If you like more heavier metal music, Ginger and their album Duel, Marco Hitalia and Roses from the Deep, Obscura, and Asonication. So a lot of really cool, heavy albums there. One that stuck out to me that's not, a more metal album is Squid's new album Cowards, which came out also. This is more in kind of a post-punk style. I believe they call this the windmill scene in this like certain area in UK where you've got bands like Black Midi and Black Country New Road. Squid kind of comes from out of that and does a really quirky, cool style of post-punk music that I think's worth any progger's attention. So I'm really excited about the music that's coming out. I feel like we're finally getting into the true crunch of it, where all the great new music is coming. January was a little bit slow, but excited to dive into some news items, some things to get excited about in the near future. So here we go with the prog news top 5 items here on the countdown. Number 1, we've got a new Jethro Tull single, The Tipu House. This was released this week. This is from Jethro Tull's upcoming 24th studio album, if you could believe it, called Curious Ruminant, coming out on Inside Out Music on March 7th, which has been heralded as an album that harkens back to the band's classic 1970s sound with introspective lyrical nods similar to 1975's Minstrel in the Gallery. So this is a really fantastic track. I love the music behind this. I love the kind of classic folky sound from Jethro Tull. The only thing holding me back from really embracing this kind of new era of Jethro Tull is the vocals. Don't really connect with me totally. I think Ian Anderson has understandably kind of lost his quality of his voice over the years as he's aged, and it just doesn't stand up so well. It's more this kind of talking vocal thing that he does now that doesn't really work for me completely well, but it's cool to hear his influence, his stamp on this music, to hear kind of a classic Jethro Tull sound. Curious Ruminant should be a cool one to check out. I believe there's even an epic, a 17-minute epic on the album, which kind of harkens back also to the classic 70s. Something like Baker Street Muse from Minstrel in the Gallery. So this should be cool. It's out there to pre-order in various formats: deluxe, ultra clear, 180 gram, 2LP, vinyl plus 2 CD plus Blu-ray, big art book, limited editions, all of the stuff you'd expect from the band, from their releases. Also a Dolby Atmos and 5.1 surround sound mix by Bruce Sword of the Pineapple Thief, exclusive interview material, art prints, all kinds of goodies if you buy certain special edition versions of the album. So excited for that. Item number 2, Rick Wakeman announces the return of the Caped Crusader Part 2 tour. Tour dates are in October. This is a live UK run, kicking off at Aylesbury Waterside on October 12th and running through to Bristol Beacon on October 29th, with a date at London's prestigious Palladium on October 28th. He's performing his popular solo albums, The Six Wives of Henry VIII, and the myths and legends of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. So exciting to see Rick Wakeman still out there. I feel like he keeps saying this is the final tour, these are the last dates I'm doing, then announces a few extras. So it's kind of interesting to see him still out there doing his thing, playing wonderful piano renditions of these albums. It sounds like he's going to be joined by his backing band, the English Rock Ensemble, featuring Dave Colquhoun on guitars and backing vocals, Adam Faulkner on drums, Lee Pomeroy on bass and backing vocals, and Adam Wakeman on keyboards, guitar, and backing vocals. So tickets go on sale. They should be on sale now. Really cool to see Rick Wakeman out there. He's going to be on Cruise to the Edge as well. So a lot of activity. Really exciting to see his dates coming up in the not too distant future here. I wanted to mention some Neal Morse news at item number 3 here. He just announced this morning some really cool stuff. First of all, his new supergroup featuring some really cool members. This supergroup's going to be called Cosmic Cathedral. And it features Chester Thompson on drums. We've got guitar virtuoso Phil Keaggy, renowned bassist Byron House, and of course Neal Morse himself. They started it as a series of jam sessions together, and it kind of morphed into a bigger project. So that should be something being announced with more information in a very near future date. I imagine the pre-order for an upcoming album will be at some point soon, but this is just the announcement of the group's formation and that material is coming. It sounds like it's rooted in progressive rock, but some really electric chemistry between these members and something truly unique. It'll be interesting to hear Neal Morse kind of branch out to a different group of musicians and see if that brings something new to his style, because, you know, a lot of people criticize Neal Morse for being very much in a similar lane. He makes a lot of the same kinds of albums over and over again. He has a very signature sound, which I'm sure will be baked into this material, but maybe there will be some new elements to kind of bring a freshness to the proceedings. And I believe this was announced today because along with this announcement is the announcement of Morsefest, to the power of 3 is what they're calling it. This is 3 nights in October in New Life Fellowship, White House, Tennessee. The dates are October 16th, 17th, and 18th. He announced what's going to be happening on each night of this festival. The first one on October 16th is going to be Neal Morse and the Residents doing a full show featuring their album No Hill for a Climber, fantastic album from last year. And they also have an opening act, Cheetos Magazine, which is a really cool, quirky Spanish prog band that I just absolutely adore. Hopefully they'll be coming out with new material at some point. I believe they came out with a cool, quirky new single recently. Hopefully that spells a new album in the not too distant future. On the second day, October 17th, the Morsefest debut of Cosmic Cathedral, as mentioned, that new supergroup that they've cooked up. And opening the evening is We Came From Space, which is a band that features Bill Hubauer of Neal Morse band fame. So that should be fun. And then the final night is going to be a grand finale where they feature the One album, which is celebrating its 20th anniversary. Fantastic concept album, maybe my favorite Neal Morse solo record. I really love it. It's from, his classic period and a great masterpiece of progressive rock if you haven't heard it. So that's an exciting event to look forward to in the future. They're not announcing any European or UK versions at this time. This is just a US version at the moment, but we'll see if it ends up in the UK, in Europe at some point, similar to last year's Morsefest. So if you want tickets are on sale for this event. Should be a lot of fun. Item number 4, Hawkwind announced new studio album, There Is No Space for Us. These are the space rock pioneers, Hawkwind, their latest studio album. It's following 2024's critically acclaimed Stories from Time and Space and recent triple disc live album, Live at the Royal Albert Hall. And this new album, it sounds like it's delving into some dystopian themes, some cosmic perspectives on humanity's place in the world and the universe. Should be a really spacey, cool endeavor by this classic group, and should be really fun to check out. And they have some live dates coming up as well. So a lot of activity in the Hawkwind camp if you're a fan. A band that admittedly I need to check out a little bit more, but I wanted to present that news because I know they're a big name within many different prog style communities. So, item number 5, Solstice announced their new studio album called Clann. This is a UK prog group that's been having some success and acclaim recently. They won the Best Band award, apparently, in the Prog Magazine Readers Poll, so that's really cool. Andy Glass, the band leader and guitarist of the group, topped the guitar player category. And Jess Holland came in second in the vocalist category. So they're all over these polls. They must have really gotten their fans on board to really vote on these polls and have a strong placement on them. But regardless, an incredible band. I really loved their last album, Light Up, which came out in 2022. Kind of a lighter symphonic style feel, kind of like classic Yes, and a lot of different other brighter, lighter, more positive influences in the prog space. They'll be releasing a single called Firefly on February 14th, so check that out. That'll be on my prog singles list certainly next week. So this is being released on Prog Rock Essentials label on April 4th, the full album itself, Clann. It's kind of the third of this trilogy of albums, starting with Sia in 2020 and the previously mentioned Light Up from 2022. So, and it's going to be available to order on various formats, gatefold vinyl, both black and colored variants, and as a triple gatefold digipack CD. So fantastic. That's the big news headlines, but now I want to delve into a pretty lengthy list of prog singles that I have for you. Always check out the description. I have links to all of these YouTube videos to check out, plus a link to a playlist where I'm accumulating all of the singles from this year. And so if you want to check out some great new prog music, try out some new stuff, that's a great way to do it, I think. So as for the prog singles list, we have that as aforementioned Jethro Tull single that is definitely on the list. One that I'm super excited about is McStein and Miniman. This is two heavyweights of the prog genre coming together, Randy McStein and Marco Miniman. Marco Miniman, of course, is legendary prog drummer who's played on notable releases from Steven Wilson to all sorts of different people. Randy McStein is one of my favorite modern kind of singer-songwriters. And they released a track called Survive, which is coming out on their upcoming record called 3, releasing April 4th. They released albums 1 and 2 a couple years back, and now they're back with a third album, appropriately titled 3. So excited to see that release. It's kind of a cool release that I'm sure I'll be picking up and really excited to talk about. Phase Transition is a new group I wasn't as aware of. They have a track called Becoming a Revolution. This is from their upcoming debut album, In Search of Being, which is coming out June 6th. This is a band based out of Portugal, comprised of a violinist, vocalist, Sofia Becco, guitarist Luis Diaz, and drummer Fernando Maia. And seems like a really cool project. I love the female vocals and the violin, but it's very heavy and very cool, kind of in that prog metal camp. Definitely well worth checking out, and I'll be checking out the album as well. It seems like they're a promising young new act that I want to point attention towards. Mark Truiak has a single, Show Me How. This is from his recently released solo album called Save Us. It was released on February 1st. You can check it out on Bandcamp and order it there. Mark Truiak is a member of Unitopia and United Progressive Fraternity, these big Australian-based prog bands. Love his vocals. He just has this really cool tone to his sound. I've really always loved him. And this album seems like a cool like solo release, maybe not quite as proggy, not quite as heavy, more singer-songwriter, kind of laid-back vibe, but it includes some really cool, notable prog musicians. It has Patrick Moraz, of course, from Relayer era, Yes, ex-Genesis drummer Chester Thompson, who I just mentioned is in that Neal Morse led project. Dave Kersner is on this, as long as some of his bandmates from Unitopia and United Progressive Fraternity. So really beautiful track, well worth checking out. And he has a lot of stuff coming up. He was recently featured on the Prog Corner and has like 3 or 4 different albums coming out this year, so this is one of them, and a really cool one. Benthos is a new Italian metal band who are signed on Inside Out Records. They released a track called As a Cordyceps. This is their third single from their upcoming sophomore album, From Nothing, super heavy, so proceed with caution if you don't like the heavier style and kind of more screamo vocals. But beyond that, there's just some really cool eclectic stuff going on with this band that makes me really intrigued for what's going to come from them and their album. And then I put in a track, The Inquisition, and their track In the Glade. This is something that Prog Corner hyped in his latest YouTube episode. A very folk-inspired young band. They have an album coming out March 1st called The Magi of Kent. Really cool, just interesting storytelling and kind of folk vibe by a young group of musicians that are just kind of entering the space and discovering themselves. So excited to feature them as well in the singles list. And then 2 singles I wanted to mention because they're albums that I'm going to be reviewing this week. Pattern Seeking Animals, the track is called The Seventh Sleeper from their upcoming release that's coming out next week called Friend of All Creatures. And then Jacob Roberge, the track is called Garden of Souls that I'm featuring, but the album is called The Passing, a fantastic new artist that I'm going to be singing the praises of. He deserves every accolade. He has an incredible new album out that I'm going to be putting the word out this week for, but I wanted to put it out early for those fans of New Music Weekly. Check out Jacob Roberge and his fantastic record, The Passage. Definitely well worth everyone's attention, especially if you're a big Neal Morse fan like I am. It definitely has some of those touchstones, has a big 30-minute epic at the end of the album that's just fantastic and goes through so many different things. But I'll be talking about it in depth this week on the channel, which leads me to what's been happening on the channel itself. Like I mentioned, I did my Dream Theater review this week, which has been getting a lot of good attention. So check that out if you haven't yet. I did a shorter video, a smaller video that hasn't been getting as much attention, but it's my concert wish list, basically. All the bands that I'd love to see in concert, prog bands, kind of some of the more obscure acts that I haven't been able to catch yet live in concert, and talking a little bit about some of the concerts I'm planning to attend this year and my philosophy on concert going in general. So check that out if that interests you at all. And so that was a fun one to put together. Hopefully another Sunday Shuffle this Sunday. We don't have a plan yet, but we plan to record shortly and get some new episodes out on that front. And then I have 2 reviews this week, as I mentioned. Pattern Seeking Animals, Friend of All Creatures, and Jacob Roberge, The Passing, which is fantastic. So definitely check those albums out. Friend of All Creatures is coming out next week, but there's plenty of singles out to check. And Jacob's album is out and available on streaming services. So there you go. That's my show today. Hopefully you enjoyed what I had for you. Hopefully you'll check out some of those singles. Hopefully you're excited about some of the upcoming things coming out. If you're just listening to New Dream Theater, I respect that. Love it. So thank you guys so much for joining me. You guys are really incredible out there. Thank you for the support and for your comments and your likes and all of that. Is just really well appreciated. So thank you guys, and I'll hopefully catch you in a future episode. Bye, everybody.